You've probably been listening to his words, but have you ever truly heard them? When a man loves you madly, he rarely says it the way you expect. He won't always stand in front of you with a grand confession or whisper a picture-perfect "I love you" in a movie-like moment. No, sometimes the most powerful declarations of love come disguised as ordinary, almost forgettable phrases. And here's the twist. Most women miss them. They miss these golden moments where a man's heart is fully exposed, hidden beneath everyday words that sound casual but carry the weight of forever. Why? Because no one teaches us to pay attention to these quiet love languages. No one tells you that when he says, "Be careful" or "You make me want to be better," he's not just talking, he's confessing. In this video, I'm going to reveal something most people will never tell you. We'll uncover 7 powerful phrases that men say only to the woman they love deeply, and no one around them even notices. Not his friends, not his family, sometimes not even you. But once you know these phrases, you'll never miss them again. You'll hear his love where other people hear noise. You'll feel his heart even when his words seem simple. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share could change the way you listen to him forever. Let's dive in. Most women spend their lives listening for the wrong words. They wait to hear love spelled out perfectly. They wait for the grand declarations, the big moments, the storybook confessions. But what they never realize is that love, real love, doesn't always sound like the movies. It doesn't always announce itself. It whispers, it hides, and sometimes it walks right past you, wrapped in the most ordinary words that most people never stop to notice. That's why so many women miss it. They miss these moments not because they aren't listening, but because no one ever taught them where to listen. We've been trained to chase the obvious, the "I love yous," the extravagant gifts, the public displays. But most men, they show their deepest love in quiet, everyday phrases that seem so simple, so casual, you could hear them and forget them instantly. That's the tragedy. When he says, "Be careful," you hear protection, but you don't realize you're hearing his fear of losing you. When he says, "You make me want to be better," you hear a compliment, but you miss that he's actually showing you he sees a future, because you've changed how he sees himself. When he says, "You get me," you think it's just a moment of connection, but it's actually his unspoken confession. "I trust you in ways I can't trust anyone else." But because no one ever tells us to pay attention to these tiny, powerful moments, we brush them off. We miss the signal. We misjudge his heart. We believe he's distant or unsure when, in fact, he's already loving us in the deepest way he knows how. And by the time we realize what those words meant, it's often too late. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact 7 phrases most women completely overlook, but that secretly reveal a man's intense, genuine, unshakable love. When you can finally hear these words the way he means them, you'll never misread his heart again. Stay with me, because this will open your eyes to a side of men that no one talks about. When a man says, "I love the way you think," most women hear it as a compliment, a sweet moment, something nice he just happened to say. But it's not just a compliment. It's not something he says to everyone. It's one of the most intimate things a man can express when he's emotionally attached to you, in ways he may not even fully understand himself. You see, a man can be physically attracted to many people, but when he falls in love with the way you think, that's when something shifts. That's when you stop being just someone in his life and become someone who shapes his life. Loving the way you think means he's fascinated by how your mind works, how you process things, how you view the world in ways that he never considered before meeting you. And fascination is not surface level. It's emotional depth. It's the beginning of attachment that doesn't just pull him toward you, it anchors him to you. Most people focus on loving what they see, but when he loves how you think, he's seeing the parts of you that no one else can touch. He's drawn to the way you solve problems, the way you speak life into him, the way your ideas challenge him and comfort him at the same time. It's not about agreeing with everything you say. It's about being mentally safe with you. It's about realizing that your mind feels like home. Your thoughts become a place where he feels understood, where he feels less alone in the world. This is why this phrase is so rare. It slips out in casual moments, but it carries a weight most women miss. And that's the tragedy. So many women overlook it. They think it's polite, they think it's light. But what they don't realize is that this is one of the earliest signs that a man is falling for who you are at your core, not just what you present to the world. When he loves the way you think, he begins to rely on your perspective. Your opinions start to shape his decisions. Your words live in his mind even when you're not around. He finds himself wondering, what would she think about this? And that question slowly begins to influence him in ways that go unnoticed, even by him. Loving the way you think is not about entertainment, it's about admiration. It's about deep respect. It's about emotional curiosity that never fades. And when a man is emotionally curious about you, when he feels mentally connected to you, he doesn't want to let that go. He knows it's rare to find someone who speaks to his mind and his heart at the same time. So when he says, I love the way you think, he's showing you he's listening, he's invested, and he's emotionally attached. He's telling you that you've already taken up space inside him, whether he said the words I love you yet or not. When a man says, be careful, I worry about you, it's easy to overlook it. It sounds like something polite, something people say out of habit. But this phrase is so much more than a casual reminder. It's a quiet doorway into a part of his heart he rarely opens. It's not just about safety, it's about a protective instinct that comes alive when he truly cares about you. Men are wired to protect what they value. When you're just someone in his life, he may hope you stay safe, but it's distant, polite, detached. But when he's falling for you, when you start to matter to him in ways that catch him off guard, those 4 words carry weight. Be careful. What he's really saying is, your well-being is starting to feel personal to me. If something happened to you, it would shake me. That's a kind of emotional exposure that men don't always know how to verbalize directly. What's beautiful is that he may not even realize he's doing it. It just slips out when you're about to leave, when you're driving late, when you're walking into a situation that could bring risk. His logical side knows you can handle yourself. His rational mind trusts your judgment. But his heart isn't interested in logic. His heart is busy imagining a world where something happens to you and that world feels unbearable to him. When a man steps into this quiet protection mode, he's showing you that you've crossed an invisible line. You've gone from being someone he likes to someone he feels responsible for emotionally. Not because he thinks you're weak, but because loving someone comes with a kind of sacred worry. He starts to carry you in his thoughts when you're not there. He checks his phone not out of curiosity, but because a small part of him breathes easier when he knows you're safe. And he probably won't tell you that. He probably won't say, I stayed up until you texted me, you got home. He just does it, silently, because that's what happens when you matter to him. The world teaches men to mask their feelings, to package their care inside practical advice or simple phrases. So instead of saying, I'm scared to lose you, he says, be careful. Instead of admitting, I think about your safety because I love you, he just says, text me when you get there. But if you listen closely, these are the moments when his heart speaks loudest. This is why you should never dismiss those simple, protective phrases. They are the softest version of his love language. He may not always know how to express the storm of emotions inside him, but when he tells you to be careful, he's showing you his heart in one of the purest ways he can. He's showing you that your safety has become a part of his peace. And that is no small thing. When a man says, you make me want to be better, he's not handing you a compliment. He's handing you his future. This phrase sounds light, almost casual, but its meaning runs deeper than most people ever realize. These aren't just words that float in a conversation. They are a quiet blueprint of what he's starting to imagine with you, sometimes before he even fully understands it himself. Men don't say this to everyone. In fact, many men go through life without ever feeling this about someone. Because wanting to become better doesn't come from pressure. It doesn't come from demands or expectations. It comes from inspiration. And when a man feels inspired by you, when your presence, your strength, your kindness, your energy make him reflect on who he is, that's when he feels the desire to grow. Not for the world, not for show, but because you make him want to. This phrase is a quiet sign that he's begun to picture something bigger than the present moment. When he says you make him want to be better, he's not just admiring you. He's telling you that being with you makes him think about his own potential. He starts seeing gaps in his life. He wants to close. Not because he's ashamed, but because you've unlocked a version of himself he wants to meet. That's powerful. Most women hear this and think it's just something nice. But it's much more than that. It's an unconscious act of future building. He may not say, I see us together in 5 years. But when he tells you that you inspire him to improve, he's showing you that you've already become part of his imagined future. You've sparked something inside him that makes him think, if I want to walk beside her, I need to grow. It's subtle, but it's incredibly rare. Most people spend their lives looking for someone who will accept them. But when you find someone who makes you want to rise, to develop, to evolve, not because you have to, but because being around them naturally draws that out of you, that's something extraordinary. For a man, this is often the moment when the relationship shifts from light to deep. It's when he stops thinking about just today, and he starts thinking about the man he wants to become, because suddenly that man feels within reach. You make him feel like he's capable of more. You make him feel like he could lead a better life, love in a better way, build a future that's stronger, safer, fuller, and that realization often happens quietly, without grand speeches, without big announcements. It slips out in a moment, when he simply says, "You make me want to be better." And what he's really saying is, "You've changed me already. You're not just part of my life. You're shaping the man I'm becoming." And that's one of the most honest, life-altering gifts a man can ever offer. When a man says, "I feel like I can tell you anything," it's easy to smile, maybe feel appreciated and move on. But most women don't realize the weight of those words. They don't realize what it costs a man to say that. Emotional safety is not something men give easily. It's not something they casually offer to just anyone. For many men, opening up is the hardest thing they will ever do. They've been taught to be strong, to keep their guard up, to protect themselves by staying silent. Vulnerability often feels dangerous to them. It's uncomfortable, it's unfamiliar. But when he feels like he can tell you anything, it means you've become a rare space in his life. A space where he no longer feels like he has to filter his truth. He can put down the armor. He can stop performing. He can simply be. This phrase doesn't come from a man who's trying to flatter you. It comes from a man who has slowly, sometimes even unknowingly, built emotional trust with you. He feels safe in your energy. He feels safe in your presence. And what makes this moment so special is that it's not about being perfect or always saying the right thing. It's about how you make him feel when he's most raw, most unsure, most human. He feels like he can tell you his secrets, his mistakes, his fears, and you won't use them against him. You won't shrink away. You won't see him as less. You'll see him more clearly, and you'll still stay. Most men go through life with their stories locked up inside of them. They share surface-level things, but they rarely show what's behind the curtain. So when he tells you he feels like he can tell you anything, it's not just words, it's permission. It's a quiet, powerful invitation to see him fully. And here's what most women miss. This isn't just about him liking you. This is about him trusting you with the parts of himself he usually hides from the world. He's letting you see the unpolished, unfiltered, unfinished parts of who he really is. That level of trust is precious. It's not built overnight. It's slowly created in your tone, in the way you listen, in how you respond when he shares something real. He's testing whether you're a safe place or a temporary one. And when you prove to him that you won't judge, that you won't walk away, that you won't diminish him for having real feelings, that's when you unlock the emotional connection that most men rarely give anyone. When a man says he feels like he can tell you anything, you've already reached the layer of his heart that is normally sealed shut. You've crossed a line that most women never even get close to. And when you hold that space for him, you become irreplaceable. Not because you're the most beautiful, not because you're the most exciting, but because you've become the only person who feels like home. When a man asks, "What do you need from me?" something profound is happening beneath the surface. It's not a casual question. It's not him simply trying to solve a problem. It's an emotional step that most men don't take easily. You see, men are often raised to think their value is tied to what they can offer, what they can fix, how they can protect, what they can provide. But this question is different. It's not about what he thinks you need. It's about what you actually need. It's about him choosing to meet you where you are, instead of where he assumes you should be. This is where quiet support begins. It's him setting aside his own ideas, his own default ways of helping, to pause and ask you directly, with sincerity, what is it that would make you feel loved, supported, and understood right now? Most people don't realize the weight of that shift. A man who is starting to love you deeply doesn't just want to be near you. He wants to be useful to you in the way you want him to be. That's the subtle difference between surface-level interest and real emotional investment. When a man reaches this point, he's not looking for the fastest solution. He's not trying to rush past your feelings or offer advice you didn't ask for. He's learning that real connection happens when he steps into your world, when he slows down long enough to ask, How can I show up for you in a way that actually matters to you? And here's what makes this moment even more powerful. Sometimes he won't know how to help, but the fact that he asks shows you exactly where his heart is. It's in the asking. It's in the fact that he cares enough to try. It takes emotional maturity for a man to realize that your needs might look different from his. And instead of assuming he knows best, instead of offering what's easy for him to give, he pauses. He lets you speak. He invites you to tell him what support looks like in your language, not his. This is not a grand gesture. It's not a performance. It's a quiet, honest offering. Tell me what you need, and I will do my best to meet you there. When you hear this phrase, don't underestimate it. A man who asks this is a man who's paying attention. A man who's trying to love you not in the way the world tells him to, but in the way your heart actually responds to. It's one of the clearest signs that he's willing to grow with you, that he's willing to listen, and that your happiness is starting to shape his choices. It's not just what he does for you, it's how willing he is to ask, to learn, and to give you what truly matters to you. That's love in its purest, most human form. Sometimes love doesn't speak in grand gestures. Sometimes it slips out in quiet moments, in phrases that sound simple, but carry more weight than you realize. When a man says, I miss you even when you're here, it might sound like a sweet, almost throwaway line, but it isn't. This is not a line he rehearsed. It's not something he says lightly. It's something that escapes him because he feels it so often, he can't hold it in anymore. What he's really saying is that your presence is not just about being nearby. It's about emotional closeness. And sometimes even when you're sitting next to him, he feels like you're just out of reach, not physically, but emotionally. He misses the version of you that feels fully present, fully open, fully connected. It's that quiet distance that can grow between people, even when they're in the same room. And that's what he notices. That's what stings. When a man says this, it's his way of reaching for you. Not with his hands, but with his heart. He wants to pull you closer in the ways that really matter. It's not about needing more time or more words. It's about feeling you in the smallest things. The way you look at him, the way you listen, the way you show up without distractions pulling you away. What's beautiful about this phrase is that it's often spoken in passing. He may say it softly, almost as if he's not sure you'll hear it. But those are the moments you have to lean in. Because what he's really doing is telling you he values the deeper connection. He's telling you he notices when the thread between you feels loose, and he's hoping you'll want to tighten it with him. Men don't always know how to ask for closeness. They aren't always taught how to describe this feeling. So when they say things like this, it's their way of trying to explain a need they don't fully understand themselves. And it's never really about needing constant attention. It's about wanting to feel like you're fully there with him, even in the quiet moments when neither of you are saying anything at all. Sometimes women hear this and mistake it for weakness or clinginess, but it's not that at all. It's actually one of the most honest, rare confessions a man can make. It shows he's attached to you on a level that can't be measured by distance or time. It shows he's built an emotional home with you, and when he feels even slightly outside of it, he misses you deeply. So when you hear him say, I miss you even when you're here, don't brush it aside. Pause, look at him. Feel that moment, because that's him telling you, you matter to me in ways I never expected. And even when I have you, I crave you still. When a man says, no one gets me like you do, you might not realize you're standing in one of the most sacred moments of his heart. It sounds like a passing compliment, something people say to friends, to partners, even to strangers sometimes. But when a man says this to the woman he loves, it's not a casual phrase. It's a quiet confession. It's the sentence that holds his most vulnerable truth. I've finally found someone who sees me, the real me. Men live most of their lives feeling unseen. They show the world what they think they should. They wear the right masks. They play the expected roles. They carry silent burdens they rarely speak about. And most of the time they get used to being only partially known. They believe no one will ever fully understand them. Not their dreams, not their fears, not the quiet parts of them they keep locked away. But then someone comes along, you, and suddenly that belief starts to crack. Because you notice things. You understand him without him having to explain. You hear the words he doesn't say. You read the space between his sentences. And that does something to him. It disarms him in a way he didn't expect. When he says, no one gets me like you do, he's saying, you've reached parts of me I didn't know anyone would ever see. He's telling you that you've crossed through the walls he built around himself, walls he thought were permanent. Walls that until now he trusted would keep everyone just far enough away. But you got in anyway. And not because you forced your way in, but because you listened, because you stayed, because you didn't run when he showed you the messy, complicated, imperfect parts of who he is. This phrase is his silent way of choosing you. It's his way of saying, I trust you to hold the parts of me that no one else even sees. He's not just giving you access to his life. He's giving you access to his emotional core. And men don't offer that lightly. For many, this is the purest form of intimacy they can express. It's important to understand that when he says this, he may not fully know how to explain what it means to him. He just knows he feels safer, softer, more alive when he's with you. He knows you've made him feel known in a world that often demands he stays hidden. And that kind of connection is rare. That's why this phrase matters. That's why you should never brush it off. So when you hear him say, no one gets me like you do, let it land. Let it soak in. Because in that moment, whether he says it softly or in passing, whether it comes after a hard day or during a quiet conversation, he's actually telling you, this is love, this is me, and I've never let anyone this close before. Recognizing these phrases is not just about catching the words, it's about learning to hear a man's heart in the quietest moments. These aren't just sentences he strings together. They're windows into his feelings, his fears, his attachments, often expressed in ways so subtle that they can easily slip past you if you're not paying attention. Sometimes the deepest things a man feels are the hardest for him to say directly. So he hides his love in simple words, in soft admissions, in phrases that almost sound like nothing. But now you know they're not nothing. They're everything. When he says, be careful, or I love the way you think, or I miss you even when you're here, he's not trying to be poetic. He's showing you in the only way he knows how, that he's emotionally invested. He's quietly asking you to notice him, to feel him, to understand that he loves you, even if he's never said those exact words. So how should you respond? With presence, with warmth, with softness. You don't need to rush to say something back or search for a perfect answer. Sometimes the best response is simply to pause, to meet his gaze, and to let him feel that you truly heard him. You can say, I hear you. You can say, that means a lot to me. Or you can just gently hold his hand and let the silence do the work. What matters most is that you don't dismiss these moments. Don't brush them off as casual. Don't overlook them because they weren't packaged in grand dramatic language. This is how men often love, with subtlety, with quiet depth, with phrases that reveal more than they seem to. When you start to notice and honor these phrases, something shifts. He feels safer, he feels seen, he feels chosen in a way that no one else has ever made him feel. And when a man feels that with you, he stops holding back. He starts showing up even more, loving even deeper, giving you more of himself, because he knows you're one of the rare people who actually hears him. The greatest relationships aren't built on perfect words. They're built on understanding the imperfect one. They're built on hearing the meaning behind the sentence, the emotion behind the pause, the love hiding inside the ordinary. So the next time you hear these phrases, pause, smile, stay present, because he's not just speaking, he's letting you in.